You know what it is. I'm TJ, and this is Life Lessons. Yesterday, I was filled with so many emotions watching the opening of the Obama Presidential Center, and there were so many captivating moments, so many emotional moments, wonderful performances, heartfelt performances, and speeches. But for me, a couple of things. Yesterday, Michelle Obama, among other things, she gave a master class in wearing somebody down to a low gravy. One, by not even mentioning their name, and you know who, but you knew who she was talking about. And two, with 3 words. What 3 words? Nobel Peace Prize. But what? There's so many things. Even though I did not agree with everything that President Obama did and wished he could have done more in other aspects, you cannot deny the fact that he is a likable human being. Whether you agree with his politics or not, he is a likable human being. And what I find very interesting, people the likes of Megyn Kelly would at one point said he was a slick snake, an affable character. What's wrong with being affable? What's wrong with being likable? As opposed to what we see on display on a regular. I happened to see a video. I don't know whose campaign was it. It was his campaign or somebody else's campaign. But during his speech, somebody was in the audience. An older gentleman was in the audience with a Trump sign, and he was heckling him. And the people in the audience started to boo and started to do all these things. And President Obama said, "Don't do that. Basically, don't degrade this man, or don't, go in on this man." He said, 1, freedom of speech. 2, he seems like he's a veteran. We honor our veterans. 3, he's an elderly gentleman. We honor our elders. Didn't get mad. Didn't call him names. Didn't degrade or debase him. Was still presidential when someone was heckling him, being disrespectful to him. That's what you call being presidential. Everyone doesn't necessarily have to agree with your politics for you to be a likable and respectable human being. And no matter what you say, you cannot say he's not that. I'm reminded of, I'm thinking, for those who want to say that he was divisive and, encouraged the isms, you have yet to give me an example of how he did that. Yet. You have yet to give an example of how he did that. How he was divisive by speaking the truth about aspects of our society when it comes to race and division and discrimination. By speaking to it, that somehow means he was being divisive. But that notwithstanding, another thing that, I loved yesterday, the past presidents. I was on active duty when George W. was in, and I had my definite thoughts. Did I think he was a good president? No. But did I think he was a horrible human being? I did not. I did not think he was a horrible human being. Did I agree with everything Joe Biden did? I did not. Did not. Did I think he was a horrible human being? I do not. He was a likable person. Whether you agreed with his politics or not. You didn't think that everything that he or they did was purely self-serving. Oftentimes, I can't think of a time in any of those, and Bill Clinton, can't forget him. Did he do some bad things? Yeah. But I still believe he was a good human being, a kind, caring human being, a flawed human being like we all are. But I don't think in none of those 4 did they ever make any and everything about them. Never. It was never about me. Look what I did. Never. Even when they were on polar opposites of issues, they could come together and be cordial, have decorum, be respectful and respectable. That is why I was inspired yet saddened by yesterday, because it reminded me of what we once had and what we have. And for those who choose not to like him, because him and Miss Obama have been out of the presidency, out of the White House for 10 years. But people can't keep them out their mouths. And I'm inclined to believe this is why. Back in the days of old, they used to call black people like President and Mrs. Obama uppity N's. And those uppity N words, they didn't like those. Because you could not wear them down intellectually. So they would, instead of, because on the one hand, we weren't smart enough. But then when you came across somebody that was smart, cultured, can articulate, can make cogent sentences and statements, then you wanted to say, okay, they're uppity N-words. So either we weren't smart enough or we were too smart. That's why you don't like them. That's why you don't like them. Because they have class, dignity, respect, intellect. I could go on. This video has gone longer than I anticipated, but yesterday was a good day. It was inspiring, like I said, for one, but also makes me sad on the other hand, seeing what we had versus what we have. Because you can completely disagree with someone's politics without vilifying them, without degrading and denigrating them. You can say that they should have done more, or they didn't do enough, but at least I believe that they are a good person and a good human being, whether they did everything I wanted them to accomplish or not. Those are my thoughts. What do you